everybody, welcome to Press Pause, the video game discussion show. I'm your host, Carlos Rodella. With me, as always, Mr. Dan Shu.
Hi, how's it going?
Bitmob Shu on the Twitter.
I still forget which camera I'm supposed to look
Yeah, just look at all of them.
I just kind of look in
Like
between.
this.
Just peruse.
Hi.
And Mr. John Davison's back.
Hello.
Cheers, applause. That was so weird. You're like, okay, I'm here. You are, what's your official title
My
right now?
official title, I have really,
'Cause it's-
I have a silly job title.
Okay, what is it?
Vice President of Programming.
Bam!
Yeah.
Sounds official.
It does.
It's not that silly.
It's like a
That's
grown-
not
it's like a
silly.
grown-
It's like
it's
VP of Clown School or something.
Well, that too.
Oh. Today we're going to talk about Rage, which is from Bethesda / id Software, and we've been playing it. I played it the least amount. You guys played it more. But we're going to talk about what we think about it and give our review. Well, at the end of the review, we'll say get it, forget it, or meh.
All right.
So I'm going to start real quick with a kind of preface. Preface? And say that I definitely played it less than these guys, but I've spent quite a time with it. And I think my takeaway is it's a post-apocalyptic game similar to a Fallout, and a huge asteroid smashes into the planet, causes mutants, etc. You've got to go. It's literally like you come out of the vault just like Fallout. You
Yeah.
come out of like a little chamber. So for me, it's just interesting because
But you've been asleep
But you've been asleep
for like over 100 years.
because if you're awake the whole time, it'd be really weird.
Yeah.
And you're enhanced.
and you're enhanced.
You have nano
they hint
thingies
that
in
you're
you.
special.
You're special. You're special.
You're special in Fallout too. They're like, you're special.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't
But this
know.
is more explicitly special because
This thing you might actually be
They
special.
repeatedly remind you that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have these nano things that do stuff.
nanorights.
Yeah.
So similarities there. But what's interesting is I just recently played Dead Island, and that's a first-person shooter that has RPG elements. Fallout, obviously, first-person shooter RPG. So there's a lot of these coming out.
I
and
think
a lot of these
Fallout's
that I'm
more
in.
of an RPG with first-person shooter elements rather
Dead
than the
Island?
other. No, I think Fallout,
Fallout, yes.
leans much more into
Yes, yes.
role-playing game. And
Thank you for the semantics.
no, but I think it's important because I think a lot of people are coming to Rage because a lot of the pre-stuff was talking about it like it's an RPG.
Totally. This is my point. You're getting to my point.
All right, I'll let you deliver the point.
There is the
then.
point, and therein lies the point, is that this is definitely not an RPG. This is an action game. This is a Doom Wolfenstein game. This is an action game. And there's a little bit of stuff peppered on top of it that makes it feel like moments in RPG. Like, oh, I'm going to collect some stuff, and I'm going to sell it. I'm going to get some new weapons. But that's where it kind of sits on both sides of the fence, and that, for me, is a little bit what makes me confused on how to feel about it.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoy the gameplay, and it's so satisfying to shoot people, because they do that great, id. But at the same time, I'm like, wait, this story's kind of nothing. And, and this is Fetch Quest, like Borderlands or something.
It's very GTA, I thought.
Right. Go do this thing.
Yeah.
And which was very much Dead Island, actually. Dead Island has parts of that where you're like, this is kind of RPG, but now I'm just going to do this next thing for
Or
someone else.
just you're bombarded with people asking you to do stuff
Yeah.
in this world, right?
Right.
Do this, get this for me, kill this person for me.
So my whole takeaway is I don't know how I feel about it because I really enjoy the gameplay. It's fun. There's some stuff I'll go into that I didn't like, but it just seems like it goes in between that world, and I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm kind of in that mood, for it to be a little deeper, and then I feel like it would have been like, whoa, because the graphics are obviously really beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a big takeaway. So what do you think? What are your first impressions?
So I think I'm with you there. I like the premise, like when they had the intro movie with the asteroid crashing.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, and they're like, and they didn't really just state it outright. They're just like, okay, you could tell they're gonna put these people underground in the Ark. They're gonna wake them up later. I'm like, it's a cool idea. And then they didn't. I don't think they really explored it. Now I didn't finish the game. Maybe there's more to it later.
Another cutscene just like that one at the end.
Yeah.
But it's like you wake up and it's like you're what they should be exploring is like you're waking up after 100 years, after a full century, right? Like civilization's completely different. First thing, there's you don't interact, you don't speak, so you don't really interact with people at all. The first guy you meet,
It's John Goodman.
John Goodman, I know. I was going to say, when are we going to get to that? As soon as he said, I was like, hi, John Goodman. Weird.
But it's like, hey, here's a survivor from the Ark. You're really valuable. People are going to want to kill you. The authority's going to want to come find you. But then they don't really explore that. It's just like the first thing he does, like when he takes you back home, is like, okay, hey, will you do this mission for me? Go kill these mutants.
Yep, and you're like, okay, but wait, hold on, 100 years thing, right?
Yeah, are you gonna
Sit
asteroids?
yourself down, have a cup of tea.
No,
It's like
Where's
here's
a
there?
cup of tea section.
Everything sort of fell apart while you were
Yeah.
asleep.
yeah, it's 100 years later. You might be a little disoriented.
Even
but
like a
no.
Douglas Adams introduction, you know, like, here, I'm gonna give you 4 sentences, this is what happened, you know what I mean? Like,
all right, here's a gun.
here's a gun, now do it. But no, not even that, just,
Yeah, they just jump right into like the first mission as if the whole game was like that,
Yeah.
right? And then, so my big problem was like inconsistencies like that. They set up a really dramatic story, and then first thing, go kill some mutants, and then they like things like I wrote down all these notes like when you first go to the first big city, Wellspring, and they're like the guy at the front says like keep your head down, don't talk to anybody because everyone here is really suspicious,
Yeah.
and you're wearing that Ark uniform.
Yeah.
They're gonna treat
Which, by
you
the way,
down.
why are you still wearing it like this whole time? They're like, you know, that Ark uniform's a dead giveaway. And you're like, okay, keep it on.
They fixed that pretty early.
stylish.
Oh, you put stuff on top of that's right.
Well, then, there's a mission soon after where you're
Okay.
at that will redress you.
I know you're like walking around like, what? No, I'm
So
fine.
did you go into Wellspring and avoid everybody? Because that's what I did.
No, I actually, okay, so here's my point is I actually like, I wanted to test this theory. I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to everybody, and they're the nicest people.
Yeah,
It's
see?
like the game is very inconsistent. It's like they set up this mood and this vibe, and then they don't explore it at all. So I'm like going around and people are like, hi, and they're really helpful, and they're giving me background about this or that, and it's
I
like,
think you're gonna say they're giving me back rubs.
Yeah.
And they're giving me
like,
back rubs,
yeah,
foot
there's
massage.
people like, oh, you should totally go do the car racing because that's how you get stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're the nicest
Yeah.
people. They're not suspicious of me at all. Like,
They're thinking
not-
about car racing when, like, you know, it's the end of the world here. Yeah, races are fun though.
Yeah. So it's like that's for me. It's like it's just kind of like part of the time it's really serious and moody. Part of the time it's kind of goofy. Like the races, they have like power ups on the track, right? And then so it's like it's.
I'm playing Mario
But
Kart.
but overall I still think I don't want to talk too much, but I think it's still kind of fun. I think it's pretty solid. I like the AI. I like how like when they're running at you and you shoot at them, sometimes they'll duck, or sometimes
Oh, they
they'll
jump and
climb on
stuff,
the
yeah.
on the ceiling. So the way they move, it's not too predictable. But at the same time, there's also dumb AI moments where these will continually pop out of cover the same way over and over. So it's inconsistent for me, but there are good moments, and it's definitely growing on me. Like the more I explore the side missions and little side activities, the more I'm beginning to get into it.
So you mentioned the car thing, and we'll mention that and maybe bring it to John.
Yeah.
That's the unusual, unique thing about this first-person shooter. It has car combat, car racing, and it's fun. I mean, the fixes are pretty good. So what do you think about the car part of it, and then tell me what you
So
thought
I
about
like the car part. Well, I actually enjoyed the car because the car mechanic is. I mean, there's races which are. There's a big load and it takes you to an arena, and that's how you generate like revenue in the game,
Yeah.
basically. But the car stuff I enjoyed more was when you take it out and it's the mechanic for getting between locations, and
Yeah.
it's the kind of. There are 2 levels of grind in the game, right? There's the grind, which is just going through stuff and killing things, and then there's the grind on top, which is the car going backwards and forwards to places and killing stuff
Yep.
in the drive, because you meet someone in a bar who says, I'll give you cash for every bandit you kill out on the road.
Yep.
So I thought that worked really well. I had the same issue, but as well as the inconsistency, I kind of found it a bit soulless. Like it was just sort of, there was that kind of, the kind of rich world, and you don't have you don't build any kind of sympathy for anyone or anything.
Yeah.
Because you're presented as this sort of voiceless, soulless, almost robotic figure that's just an instrument of killing things.
Right.
Like, you don't forge any relationships in the game. You don't become fond of anyone. They send you to places and people ask you to do things. And what's strange about it is that the way the game is presented is done so well that they could have made you feel something.
I think that's why I wanted more, because you're led to believe the
Yeah.
game's going to do.
Yeah.
all
Did
this.
you meet the Kvasir guy, the kind of weird scientist dude on the arm so there's this sort of, there's another arc that there's a guy living in it, and he's like a researcher. And you go to meet him, and he offers you some upgrades, but you have to go do something for him, obviously, and he gives you some, multiple. There's like 2 quests that kind of branch off him. But when you meet him, he's this sort of wizened guy in this sort of robotic arm thing, and he has this power suit on, and he's partly cybernetically enhanced. and he's so expressive. The one thing about the game is the animation of the characters when you meet them is so expressive. They have like Pixar-like hands. There's lots of finger movement. It's a bit sort of Wallace and Gromit, you know, like there's lots of sort of drumming of fingers. And, but it makes them really believable, and you want to forge a connection with this guy.
That's exactly it, yeah.
But the game basically sends you into a place. You go, oh wow, that looks awesome. I want to get to know this character a little bit. And he's like, go here, kill some stuff,
and I'll see you later.
Come back, and I'll upgrade your thing that lets you, like, it basically gives you another life.
Yeah, and then that's where the missing story comes in. You know what I mean? I think it was just fleshed out more and given us more of a reason to care about these people. And I was going to say to your point about the faces, these aren't Bethesda faces. These aren't Oblivion faces. These are nice.
We need like id Tech 5 in Bethesda's games going forward.
Totally, I'm sure.
And I like the girls look like girls.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm sure everyone's going to think that, right? Like when I was playing, I'm like, I want the next Fallout to look like this.
Yeah.
But I think that's the ultimate irony is when you play a game like Fallout, like the characters are robotic, they look kind of bad, and ultimately they're much more fleshed out.
Yeah.
And you're more memorable than the really well acted, well animated characters in Rage.
I can't stop playing it though. Like, it's one of the best paced games I've played in a long time because everything is like, I mean, there's the save system, which everyone's kind of bitching about online or whatever, and it is nonsense, but they can fix it, I think, with a patch. Like, you have to save, like, checkpointing is too far apart. But
wait, you save all the time, don't you?
No, it doesn't save for you, though.
You have to manually save.
You have to manually save.
But
so
it's
kind of old school in some regards. But some of, like, you kind of get into this flow where it'll send you to a location, and then there's like a sequence of things where you get all the way to the end, and there's a big boss, and then you get out. The way those build is so well done that, like, I don't very often stay up until 3 in the morning anymore playing video games, but like this weekend, like every night I started playing it. I'm like, I'm just gonna play a couple hours, and like it was like hours and hours into it because I was just so drawn. There's something about it that, despite the flaws,
well, it's the gameplay, and the mechanics, and I think you said the pacing.
And id do shotguns better than anybody.
Yeah. You're like, I just blew you across the room, and that felt awesome. Last night I was up so late, I literally fell asleep playing it. Yeah. Like, have you ever done that where you're like, you wake up and you're like, what the heck's going on? Oh, I'm dead.
So Mutant Bash TV, which is the thing that they made the iOS game based on, which is the game show that is broadcast in the. So there's a mission where you go and you have to participate in an episode of Mutant Bash TV.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's basically shotguns and wing sticks, which are the sort of boomerang.
Oh, we didn't talk about them. Those are really cool. It's like the Zelda boomerang.
So they have this thing where it's a blade and it's got like a nano computer thing in it, so it tries to track where you are. And you're going in and it's just like this like bandit slaughter in this route, and you go in and they give you enough shotgun shells and stuff to just destroy everything, and there's blood splattering everywhere.
Yeah, it's satisfying.
Yeah, I mean it's really creepy and a lot. The music is like, I think, something that not many people have talked about. It's got real kind of good horror thriller music. Like,
that's true, because
like, you know, when they do the string when it's going.
I left it on to go in my bedroom to like check my email or something. My brother was around, and it was just on, you know, and the music kept playing, and it was like, I was like, what is going on in the living room?
And there's like a hospital
Your
level.
brother was out to
blood
kill you.
dripping down the walls and like just like really.
Yeah, the drawings
creepy.
I thought were great.
Yeah.
Really quick, there's a bunch of stuff I'd like to mention. One, the texturing that they used with their id 5 or whatever it was is noticeable in the fact that, you know, the little pieces of graphics in the world aren't repeatable, which is cool. Like, it feels like they're more like, hey, that little section of that room is that section.
Yeah.
You know, it's not repeated over here. And that's seen with some of the drawings that are on the wall. You know, like all this artwork is just amazing stuff.
So I wanted to ask you guys something, because which class did you pick?
The upgrade class.
The engineer?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone I know has picked engineer.
I don't know.
Because so the game gives you 3 options. Like you go in and you're wearing the suit that you come out of the pod in, and eventually you get to this town, and the feedback from this dude is you can't be walking around looking like that.
Yep.
You've got to go to the clothing. You got to go to the clothing store, and you've got to pick an outfit. And the guy gives you 3 choices. There's an engineer, there's a roughneck, which is basically the warrior class, and then there's a sort of vanilla blend-in class that is the write-up for that class is so nondescript. I don't know why anyone would want to play it.
Yeah.
And then the roughneck is that you get more armor or something. But everyone I know has picked engineer because you can craft things in the game, but you pick up junk all over the place and you can piece objects together.
Right, but the crafting we didn't talk about, it has turrets.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main reasons. Everyone's really excited to create these things.
And you can
that will
create the
help.
wing stick things.
Wing
like,
stick things,
you find
yeah.
the bits and you put them
Yeah.
together, and then there's these remote control bombs that are like RC cars that you can drive and blow
But
stuff
later there's
up.
robots, I heard.
Yeah, the
Spoiler.
spider bots later
Yeah.
on, but I don't know, because the game says you'll get to be able to do better crafting because everyone can craft.
Right. So
But-
what's the bonus?
So what's the benefit? I've yet
Yeah.
to see the benefit, and I know people that have played all the way through, and when you say, "What's the benefit of being the engineer?" and they're like, "I still really don't know."
Maybe they use fewer ingredients on a few things.
So yeah, I was wondering if maybe you find more junk lying around. I don't know. It's not clear what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
benefit. So again, it's another one of these sort of soulless id
Right.
things where it's sort of
Yeah.
like it makes you make a decision which you think has some weight to it, and you get hours into the game. I'm like, I am not really noticing any discernible
Yeah.
like benefit to what I chose hours ago.
Yeah, we can all say all that, and we're also going to go home and play it.
Yeah.
So okay, I have more things, but go ahead.
A couple of really quick things. Mayor's Desk has a really cool Easter egg.
Oh, yeah.
You see it?
And there's another Easter egg at the very beginning on the dashboard of the car.
Oh, I saw that.
I might
Yeah,
have missed
that
that
one,
one. So look for that. The mini games. So I kind of like a lot of like. Do you remember Knights of the Old Republic had that card game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Hazak?
card game.
Oh, I love it.
There's so much stuff in this
Well,
game, really.
the
and
thing
none of
is-
it has any soul.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, guys.
actually, I think it's pretty cool because
No, it's
most
cool.
most games like Mass Effect or like the slot machines in BioShock or the Pazic card game in Knights of the Old Republic, they're more or less random, right? There's no game to it. You're just like drawing some cards and seeing what happens. But this one, when I first saw, there's a holographic mini game that
Yeah.
people are playing on the street. Like
It's
this
just
thing
a
is
dice
stupid.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just completely random. You're just like throwing $5 in. Hit a few buttons and just randomly see what happens, like a slot machine. Then I discovered the card game, and I'm like, this is actually kind of cool because it's a
real card
Yeah.
game.
it's
that
a
has
collectible card game.
So I became obsessed because like there's little tins in all of the levels.
And
that
you're like,
have
I need to find those
particular cards in them.
Yep.
that's what makes it so cool.
So I now like every time I'm in a level, I'm hunting every shelf to
Yep.
see if I can find the
But
box
it's
with
easy,
the card in it.
which is one of my mini cons in kind of that soulless thing or whatever, kind of on the surface stuff, is everything in this game is glows. If it's something you can
Oh,
get,
you know,
it glows.
yeah, it's flashing,
It's flashing, which, by the way, kind of takes you out of the experience of a game, in my opinion. You know, like Fallout or something like that, it's more realistic.
Oh, it's
'cause
totally
it's
the
not
nano
glowing.
thing speaking to you, right?
The nanos, I can sense it.
you need that,
Anyways.
like because they've been doing that since Resident Evil. Like
You do-
I think gamers are.
It's a nitpick. It's in my nitpick pile, so never mind. I have a nitpick pile.
if you don't do it though, like you'd probably be mad. It's like
No, I wouldn't. I
Wouldn't
like
even know
it.
that's there.
Stupid. Anyways.
Because you have to like search, like push against every wall and hit.
I would do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Card game, awesome then.
Yeah.
It's just because it's cool to be able, like what you
Yeah.
said, like look for cards in that environment
Yeah.
and in the world to build your deck.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One con and one nitpick. Okay. First con is the first boss was just annoying as hell. The turret guy, just continuous turret. He's like a mini boss.
remember.
He had
Oh, yeah.
a turret and he was like in a tank in the garage somewhere, and they just
Oh,
keep sending
right.
people at you.
Yeah.
It's really weird
Oh,
because
right,
they sent. It's again, it's so not realistic. They just keep sending people so you
Yeah.
can get ammo, so you have enough ammo to shoot the guy. If you haven't played this part, you don't know what I'm talking about. But there's a part that just seems annoying because the chain gun keeps happening. You just hope that you get him
Well, it
from
doesn't.
afar. There's a pause.
It's really old school in
Yeah.
that it's all pattern recognition.
Right.
So
but that's that time period between him not shooting and going like, ah.
That's why you need the wing sticks.
Right,
because-
I used them and I.
Because the cool thing about the wing sticks as well is that they inflict damage in both directions. So you can throw something at a guy and
it can hit someone
miss,
on the way back.
and it'll hit him in the back
Yeah.
of the head.
That being said, up until then, like you said, the pacing was good. The feeling of the game was good. It just felt like everything felt like it should be going along.
Yeah.
And when I got to that, it felt like they put that in there.
Yeah.
Like
There's a lot of
here's
that.
old school.
The next boss is even more like
that.
There's this huge thing, and like it's in a and again what it does is it closes the door behind you, it locks you in a tiny arena that you can't really move very far in,
Perfect.
and it gives you just enough stuff to be able to pull it off, but you've got to know where the stuff is. Like, so you can be flailing around the first couple of times, and if you haven't saved and you go back to the last checkpoint, it takes you all the way back to the beginning of the level. So like you've got to save religiously on it, and then
Groovy.
you've got the first time you encounter a boss, you've got to watch his patterns, work out what he's doing, because then you can just like the second boss, if you stand still for longer than 2 seconds, that's where he targets. So you just need to keep moving, but you've got to run around and go, okay, that's where the ammo is, that's where things happen.
Yeah.
Now I know
Old
what
school.
I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. It's just like you have a new school game, a new school graphics, and new school potential. I just want new school other stuff with it.
Yeah.
Going along the same lines with the Fetch Quest, and this is something we reiterate on the show often, is that, give us some more organic type missions, something that happens within the gameplay and the pacing, and not just like, okay, halt, I need you to go get this thing for me. And so what's funny is if you notice it, it's kind of an Easter egg, I think, or maybe they just didn't even know they did it. One of the first ladies who tells you to do something is the old lady, and she's like, now you know how this works. You got to go get something for me. She literally says that, like that's her line. Like, you know how this works. It's like playing on, like, yeah.
There's an old school, and this is a bit of a spoiler for people later on, but there is a level that's quite long that you do all the way forwards, and then you do the exact same level backwards, and the achievement you get is the name of the level written backwards. I mean, that's how self-referential it is.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. My other nitpick thing is, this is a tiny nitpick thing, but the weapons disappear when you beat when you kill some guy.
It's so stupid.
What
my
the F?
girlfriend was even watching, and she's
when
like,
you kill someone, the weapon falls off their hand.
Everything dissolves into the floor.
It dissolves into nothing.
Why just don't even show it?
Yeah.
At that point, because my girlfriend was even watching me play, and she's like, "Oh, why don't you go pick that up?" I'm like, "I can't watch. It's just gonna
I just watch.
So the mutants dissolve, but the bandits don't.
Oh.
And
because you take the stuff off.
And you can search the bandits, but the mutants just sort of fall apart.
And when you search them, they kind of do this. That's always really interesting.
Even the gigantic mutants that you run into that have the weird tentacle arms and just crazy stuff going on, they dissolve.
It's part of the new world. The asteroid did it. We can close on that, but I will say that there was a bug, though, with one of the guns, and it fell off the guy, and I was like, look, Joe, this thing's going to disappear. And it got stuck in something where it was falling down a hill.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait, maybe, what the hell? And it just kept going like this for a long time. I'm like, it's still going to disappear. It got to the bottom.
I saw that, too, and I think what happens is, like, it only disappears when it settles, right? Because it was on a hill.
Yeah.
Like,
so guns roll forever. That's our takeaway from Rage. Guns roll forever. So, get it, forget it, or meh?
I'm get it.
Okay.
I'm a meh.
Ooh.
I just so many things disappoint me about it, but I'm a meh. But it is growing on me, and I have to qualify. I did not finish it, so like where I'm at, like I do want to play it some more. So there's something there, but it's not a clear like you got to get this game.
I'm gonna say get it because of the many things we said today. Not the soulless part of it, because that is true, but it has a card game. The card game is fun to play. It's mixed in with a first-person shooter that works.
Yeah.
The gameplay is satisfying when you kill things, and I just can't stop playing it. A part of me doesn't even know why. I just have to go home and play it right now.
What I like about the card game as well is it would work as a real card game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not one of these sort of weird kind of total fantasy things. They could actually, if the game does really well, put the card game out as a separate product.
Yeah.
It might be one of the best collectible systems I've seen in a while, because like if I find one now, because I didn't know what I was collecting cards for,
right.
And then you play the game, and then now I'm like, oh, the next one I get, I'm excited. I want to look at the stats and see what I just picked up.
And I kind of like that you can totally tell why it's in there. Because there's a bunch of guys at id that are geeking out on some card game right now. They're like, we should put this in the game.
Let's totally do it, dude. All right, let's do it. And I'm over. Like, can we have like those little collectibles for like artwork be over with? I just don't care anymore. Like other collectibles, like you just unlocked early artwork.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the guy that I am. Yeah, great. I also want to say that there's videos, like these little diary videos they put out, which is really cool. It's on Bethesda's YouTube channel, right, Scott? And also, it's in the game. When you go to the game and go downloadable content, you scroll down the second page. There's a bunch of videos they did, which I thought was pretty cool.
Right.
So check those out. And that's it. That's our review of Rage. You should check out Mr. John Davison. He's on Twitter. What are your Twitters again?
JWH Davison.
That's it. Rolls off the tongue.
It does.
Vice President of Clown School.
Of what?
Vice President of Clown School, right? And Dan shoots Bitmob Shoe.
At Bitmob Shoe on Twitter.
And
can I mention?
yes, and Onawa. And
so you guys heard about Extra Life Charity? We're forming a
course.
Bitmob team. It's a 24-hour gaming marathon.
Have you decided what you're going to play?
Huh?
You decided what you're going to play?
I think we're working on that. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
do you have a URL yet or no?
Just go to bitmob.com and search Extra Life 2011, and then you'll see it.
Would the URL be bitmob.com/Extra Life 2011 by chance?
I don't know. It might be.
Last time I was like, he's like, go to the podcast section, and I'm like, is it bitmob.com/podcast? And he's like, yes, I think so.
The magic of the modern internet.
The modern URL. That's going to be it. And then next week, me and Dan are going to play NBA Jam on Fire on location Where?
from my tiny studio.
And Dan will actually be on fire.
And he'll be on fire. John said that. It's not going to happen. Game over.